Babe, wake up. Somebody is questioning your theory of consciousness.
Never! I just remembered what comes before this. Okay, it's 5:39 here in Nairobi. I should get some sleep. But as I'm going nuts, thinking about consciousness, having just finished reading Facing Up to the Problem of Consciousness by David J. Chalmers, who currently teaches philosophy at NYU, I think. All that done, I was going to walk myself through some of my deductions for the day. Yes, other people will probably watch this, but this is largely for you, bro. So, what's up? That's future me for people who are wondering. So, this is for me. It's so early and late. I need to get some rest. How the self is deduced. So, let's see if we can use the data as opposed to the theory. In 1637, French philosopher René Descartes published one of his first works called Discourses on the Method. It is from Discourses on the Method that we get what has become a foundation of modern philosophy, which is reason, empirical reason, and in a sense, doubt. From that framework, Descartes was able to conclude that one's subjective experience provides the greatest source of evidence of experience of any kind. And it is from that paper that we get the famous cogito ergo sum, which translated to modern day English means I think, therefore I am. Breaking down that statement, I'm gonna take a seat. Yo, man. What do I want to tell you also, since this is mostly for future me? I want to tell you you hadn't slept. You'd also just finished listening, not listening, listening to Star Talk with David Chalmers, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the other host. Damn, I'm sorry, man. I also love your hosting. I don't know shit about you, sorry. You also don't know shit about me. This is not going very well. I hope no one watches this. Point is, I was looking for Chalmers, and in that regard, even the famous and esteemed Dr. deGrasse Tyson is an extra in that current show. It's recording. Actually, it's recording. So, as I'm talking to you, future me, it continues to astound me that we think subjective experience is subjective to other people. That's one of the hallmarks, or rather one of the bigger points in this piece, in this work. But as Descartes demonstrated in Discourses on the Method, which is a fun paper, if you can get a hold of it, the modern one, you'd enjoy it. He spends a lot of time saying how we should use our faculties to be smart. Don't be dumb. Basically, a lot of the papers, don't be dumb. Use your brain. And I try, and these are examples in which I used my brain. As we continue to discuss this, the idea of a subjective experience can be broken down into these statements. I Let's talk about I. An I implies an other, something else. Let's assume that we are not like anything else, right? Therefore, I and the other are different. Let's assume, for instance, that my physical form and this whiteboard are separate. If that is the case, then my existence is a deduction. Because I've said there's that, I am not that. I am this, and this is me. The very nature of reality, from my observation so far, actually, once more, letter to you. So, from my observation so far, the very nature of reality is that we are somewhat in a box. We are existing inside some kind of thing, right? Even if it's just the world, even if it's just this room, that I am inside this room. And if I am inside this room, we can break down what I am. At mapping this onto physics, we've talked about this, you and I, before. Mapping this onto physics, for something to be, there are some layers. One of those layers is you need to have a point. This was already in. Actually, I'm just going to add this as the end of what do you call it? The character theory of mind. Well, I'll join those. You need to have a point, you need to have a line, right? For you to exist, you need to have some kind of shape. All of these things are well known. Like this is a hand, it's a shape. In fact, it's more than a shape because it has 3D form. It's an object. So this is first dimension, or zero dimension, first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, which is where we are. We're objects. We're objects inside a thing, some kind of thing, a room, an earth, a universe. And as the layers go up, we start to realize we are also information. I'm coming to you from the past. You will look back at this and remember many things about this evening simply from this recording, because I, or the old version of you, will have been stored in your brain as information. The sound of your own voice, how you were experiencing this evening, what this hoodie feels like, what this hoodie represents. It's a gift. All of that eventually becomes some kind of idea. Trapped in motion. The reason why we draw this guy running is because this is a snapshot of his life. What is going on when he was alive? We'll call him Philip. So Philip here. This is Philip. Phil. Yeah. Philip here has all of these things in him. He has this point, he has shapes, lines inside his body, he has 3D objects, and finally, Philip has ideas of what he is, memories. This time he's anticipating perhaps he's going to be first in the race and might be able to get a smooch from one of the cheerleaders, or maybe he's going to make some money, and well, this is a Freudian slip. Priorities in that order. Might end up with love and adoration as well. So, in sense of reality, the I constitutes all of these things, right? But once more, for us to get to this I, we have to compare it to the things that are not me, not you. And one of those things that is not you is everything else. You are not that car over there. Do you remember this evening? You are not this speaker. Also, I should play some music. That's what I should do. What does one listen to at 6 a.m. and trying to deduce the origins of the self as a concept? The self is going to be a bit of a footnote in the general scheme of what consciousness is. But we'll get to that, actually. We'll get to that. Da, 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 da. What am I going to play? What did we want to listen to? This video, are we trying to monetize it? Unlikely. Not everything is about money, right? And if this is my finest work, yikes. Yeah, I'll monetize other things. Ta 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 da da ta ta ta. I know what I want to listen to. My name is my name. I want to listen to Kayo. Kayo. Kayo is a, I guess, up and coming rapper. I don't know where Kayo is from. We might have gone to the same university. I actually quite like his 2020 album Blue Jeans, and I'm going to play Belt. I'm going to play Belt. We'll see if the audio is any good. I'm gonna restart that. Nah. Alright. Descartes, 1637. Discourses on the method. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. For I to exist, a lot of things need to be in place, including having a physical body. We can call it a hierarchy, from point to line to shape to object, finally to information or to idea. Information is stored. You need to be some kind of vessel that can store information. For you to store information, you need to have a 3D body. For you to have a 3D body, you probably need 2D dimensions inside of you. For 2D to exist, you need a line. For that to be a line, you need many small points. And for the points to exist, we're full circle, right? Because we exist as this thing, this multi-layered organism of some kind. This, so far, I found to be irrefutable. We will get to the contentious things a little later. But for now, let's start with the idea that we can get to the contentious things at all. Computation. Computation comes from information, right? We've gathered all of this information merely by existing. I know how my heart rate, I know whether I've eaten or not, I know whether I anticipate eating. All of that information is static, caught in a snapshot of my existence. You can pause this video right now. That was not a pause, the music is still playing. But from that, you will have gathered a slice of my existence. And for you to continue to agree or believe that I exist, you must do some thinking, some computation. What makes computation so interesting? And this is a major spoiler. Should I give it to you? Here's a whisper. I don't know if anyone ever see this cut, but both Newton and Einstein guaranteed that space and time are inescapable. Newton said we will interact with things through gravity, and all things have gravity. So as long as you have mass, you have a pull to you. And Einstein said we are actually in this fabric that includes a dimension called time, which dilates or fluctuates according to how mass interacts with itself. If that is true, then we must account for time in all of our calculations. This snapshot, remember Philip, captures him not only as he is in motion in a physical space, right? But as also as he is in a temporal space, right? In a sense that I can erase that and see now the plane has changed, has been changed by time. If you go back a few seconds, something has been altered. So as we are thinking, in reality, calculating that against time, we achieve what we can see is the conclusion of our equation, which is certainty of some nature. Oh, I love this song. It's called it's about COVID. Oh man, I'm so dated. I need to start listening to like Fiend. Well, I think that's from 2024. Maybe I should listen to Fiend after. I might just listen to Fiend. This is for rap fans. I know if you get this copyright stricken. Boy, go to your room. Yeah, okay, that makes a bit more sense. Certainty. So here we have reality. I'm thinking. So we can call it a calculation. As long as I am thinking, I can achieve some kind of certainty that something is going on. We haven't got to the point where we know what the equation is. Oh man, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. I like the song a lot. So we have the idea of we can get to some certainty. You can say things are taking shape. How old were we? We were 29 when we were making this. Remember this, okay? Certainty. So we're running an equation. I am thinking, right? And I believe I can achieve some kind of certainty. When Phil is running, he's stepping on the ground. And he likes to believe that the ground will not collapse underneath his feet. Because he has tested the ground many times over time, and the ground always held. So he has some certainty that the ground will continue to run. That is, to do its work. He has to think of his own feet on the ground. That's a calculation of the reliability of his feet against the reliability of the ground. And it's likely his feet have caused him to falter more than the ground has. From this, Phil, as he is computing certainty, well, it's also uncertainty technically, he has to have a competition between his trust in himself and his trust in the ground. If we could map a probability chart of the number of times Phil's feet have faltered versus the number of times the ground has caved in, like a cliff or a pothole, it's quite likely that Phil has tripped a lot more than the ground has opened up and tried to swallow him whole. Therefore, as Phil is trying to ascertain the reliability of the ground vis-a-vis his own feet, he has to come up with a model of his own reliability in order to calculate whether he should take another step forward. Essentially, Phil has to decide, does he trust A, the ground, B, his own feet, and C, perhaps his shoes or external factors, enough to leave his room? This is a calculation that goes on in Phil's head. And by the time Phil is running, has advanced to the point that Phil not only has ultimate trust in the ground, he also has sufficient trust in his own feet and sufficient trust in his footwear and external conditions to enable him to get to first place. This process is what eventually allows Phil to believe that he is a runner, or that he can exist in a world and run. What this means is, along each of these layers, there seems to be rules. Points have their rules, lines have their rules, shapes have their rules, objects have their rules, and information has its rules. And it is as we are engaging with information that we can form a sense of self. This also implies a few things. One, this field that we are in of 3D objects is, even if only momentarily, layered with a field of information, a predictive field, or what one can say, a probabilistic field. And that's where we'll pick up from next time. Good luck, man. We're working hard. Remember that.